to humbly let my honorable colleague understand the fact that I've critically examined what I have here, and truly it's my picture and it's Masslock. Secondly, I would like him to understand the fact that every organization has its cultural and policies in terms of practices. We have different types of loans, and they are within the legal confines or environment of Masslock. First, the one that actually fit this picture, Mr. Chairman, is the group loan. Masslock was set up in the year 2006. To be honest with you, this thing has been going on throughout every regime up to now. The fact is that the group loan, we give like, each group constitutes about 25 applicants or beneficiaries. And sometimes you do a market that you get a number beyond 1,000. So the banks take the money, they get a very big size. If they can access a big hall, which is about 10 times we have here, they do the public one with the bankers there. They actually dish out the money, and the leaders of the group sign. So it is within the practice culture of Masslock.
I'm sorry to interject, but I think the honorable nominee didn't get the context. I am making the point that I have assisted groups in my constituency to meet the qualification of Masslock groups, and those groups have had to, in all cases, open accounts and checks issued to those accounts, the presentations done in a ceremony. But what we have here, at a time that government is promoting a cashless economy, is the then CEO with heaps of cash on the table.
And what is your problem with his answer?
Yes, so his answer is that this category,
to what you know, they do this.
No, that this category was about groups, and I'm saying that what I'm also speaking about.
You're saying that they sometimes give cash, and this picture is one of such times.
So I don't know whether there should be further clarity or it's okay, Chairman.
Please continue. So,
Thank you very much.
Is this a tabletop? Is it a tabletop loan?
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I think in all the banks in the world, including Ghana, monies are always on the table and they give it out. Thank you, sir.
Maybe government may just have to abandon the idea of promoting a cashless economy with this, you know, it's a tabletop loan. Yeah, promotion of tabletop monies. But, honorable nominee, how is Dextro Impacts Company Limited, known to you? And is it the case that Masslock engaged it to procure a number of vehicles without going through the appropriate procurement procedures?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this issue came out years back in this country, and it was proven that what my brother is saying was not so. I think I have to draw curtains on this issue here because of the nature of exercise that we are all going through. In the first place, the said company never imported for Masslock. That is never true. What happened was they approached Masslock when I was the CEO to bring vehicles, not for Masslock to pay, but they wanted to use Masslock as a medium so that Masslock, even as at that time, government had not even released money, we had not even imported any car. So we actually started engaging them. Then I spoke to the PPA boss, and then he said that he thought it wise, there wasn't anything bad with it, but he thinks it's not good to allow a private company to procure and use Masslock as a platform. Mr. Speaker, we just cancelled the processes that we had started. We never ever had any imported cars by Dextro. And I think the papers are there. I mean, they can check. I mean, Masslock's account and other things, go to all the institutions, finance ministry, whether we outlaid any funds to that effect. I think people were just doing propaganda at that time. But, Honorable Member, they never imported cars for us.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think he has answered the question. I did not say that they brought in cars. I asked if he has any knowledge of that company, and if that company at any point in time had a contract with Masslock to bring in vehicles. It's not about whether they brought in the vehicles or not. Was there ever a contract? Was there ever a relationship like that? And what was the nature of the relationship?
His answer is sufficient.
No, Mr. Chairman, it's not. He's answered that they didn't bring vehicles in. But did they have a contract
for them to bring the vehicles?
Chairman, as I said, we started that and abrogated that because we were advised it wasn't good. It ended there. And the letters were there to show.
No contract was signed between you and them.
Chairman, what I'm saying is that the fact is, this is about 6 years ago. That's why I'm being careful. What I can remember and what I'm saying, which is a fact, was that a transactional relationship began. Whether we signed something or not, it ended in a way that we ended every relationship in writing, and they never imported any car to us or for us. I can say this as a matter of
what is an issue was that whatever you started, they did get to the stage where you signed the contract. If it did, yes. If it did not, no.
And I think my answer has been so clear. I'm saying that it's about 6 years now. There was initially at the embryonic stage, back and forth. But what I'm saying that upon advice, we ended every transaction. So even that thing, if he's saying was so, it was abrogated through the same medium. He wrote to us, we wrote to them, they wrote to us. So as I'm talking to you now, Masslock has no contract with that company. And the company did not import anything for us or to us. That's all.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if there was no contract, what was abrogated?
Chairman, I don't think I've said there was no contract. I've never said that. But what I'm saying is that it's about 6 years ago. There were exchanges. That's why I'm choosing my words carefully. But I can emphatically say that everything was abrogated upon advice.
Please? Can you listen to me? And please, don't get worked up. No, don't get worked up. I know your temper. That's why I'm so very careful to advise you not to get worked up. Okay? So, I just want the record to reflect, yes, there was a contract, but when we were advised, we abrogated it. Is that the case?
Chairman, I'm not prolonging issues. I'm saying that the number of years, if I'm 100% sure, I won't lie. After all, there's nothing binding. And I'm saying that everything that we had upon advice, we abrogated. We ended, and they never imported any car. As I'm talking to you now, Masslock has no contract with them. That's my answer. And I think, to me, it's crystal clear enough.
Please, yes, ask your next.
Well, there was a contract, there was no contract. You don't remember. The committee will look at that. Just to put on record that when this transaction was also taking place, the board of Masslock was not in place. But to my next question, because Chairman says I should move on. There is a case currently involving your predecessor in court, and I do not want to go into the details of that, process, because it can be considered prejudicial. But an aspect of, let me look at how the case against your predecessor came about. There was a forensic audit at Masslock to look into the records of the institution between 2009 and 2016. This contract to carry out the forensic audit was awarded Bafwa Ewia and Associate. I hope I'm getting the name right. Bafwa Ewia and Associate. It's an audit firm. The forensic audit contract was awarded to this company. Mr. Chairman, Honorable Nominee, can you tell us the procurement law or the procurement process, yes, that was used to award this contract to carry out a forensic audit to Bafwa Ewia and Co.?
Mr. Chairman, my colleague is asking the nominee the procedure that was used in the appointment of an auditor to look into a matter to appoint or procure the services, whichever way you want, in a matter that is sitting before a court of competent jurisdiction. And you want an opinion from him. I believe it frowns upon the rules of the House in the area of how questions are asked, Mr. Speaker. That is my view.
To the best of my knowledge, the matter pending in court is a criminal investigation of somebody else. This is administrative. Did you procure the services? Let's put it this way. Did you, in your capacity as MD, procure the services of Bafwa Ewia and Co. and Associates?
Chairman, yes, the institution procured the services of Bafwa Ewia and Associates. I was the CEO, sir.
The process, the procurement process that was used.
Mr. Chairman, I think these are all about 6 years ago. I can get the documents and submit to you. I don't want to say something and later on they say that you didn't say exact thing, but I can promise you, whatever it is, I'll go for it and submit to you.
Did you use the procurement law in the country?
Chairman, my challenge is that I'm sure we did. I want to get the documents on it and submit because it's taking me extempore to speak on this.
The danger is that when you say that, we cannot proceed with the conclusion on your vetting until we have that. So if you answer the question, you move on.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I'll check. I think so. Yes. I can't say. I think I did the right thing, Chairman.
He has not said that.
I did the right thing.
He has not said that.
All right. Oh, how? Oh, how? This is just... Honorable Nominee, when you took over from Masslock, and all these questions are relevant because they will tell us what to expect if you are approved by this Honorable House to go to your next post. When you took over Masslock, there was an impressive report of recovery of debts from about 44% to above 60%. But by 2019, it came down again to below 50%. What happened?
Thank you, Chairman. What my honorable member of parliament is saying, colleague, is true. We had a pilot project, and we're actually hitting around 90%, as he's saying. But by 2019, we all realized that the entire economy and our market had been actually affected by the global crisis. No, is it 20? Sorry, by 2019, by 2019, we had actually extended or expanded our outlays to the beneficiaries. When we're getting about 90%, it was just about Greater Accra and 2 areas in Eastern Region. But by 2020, we had covered almost every district in Ghana, and definitely recovery, as we all know, became quite difficult to actually attain in terms of our goal. So what he's saying is very true. The cause of it was the complexity of the expansion in terms of the distribution that we did. Thank you, Chairman.
Very well. Leadership.
Honorable Amoah. I know you like likening the state of our economy using some medical conditions. You have used sickle cell before, saying it's like a child with sickle cell. I know you apologize for that one when the Sickle Cell Society talked about it. You have likened Ghana's economy to like having an ulcer. May I ask you today, what do you feel Ghana's economy is in terms of a medical condition today?
Mr. Chairman, I think we need to analyze this statement in the context that I meant. The context I meant was that chronically, our economy has been going through sinusoidal performances. And I'm sure my colleague, Dr. Ato Forsen, honorable member, understands what I'm talking about. We culturally operate a negative tax effective rate.
Nominee, please. Did you hear the question? What was the question?
The question he asked was, I used to I used to liken our economy to some sort of chronic diseases. And what is it today?
He said, give him an example of a disease the economy now would be like. So just give it. If you don't have anything.
No, he didn't say that.
That's what he said.
Mr. Chairman, but I think for answer to this, the context has to be explained. For now, I don't think, with the experience I have from that group, I can say any disease. Thank you, Mr.
Okay. So Dr. Amoah. So you started by saying it's like a sinusoidal thing. That one, so should I ignore the sinusoidal one as well?
Yes, Chairman.
But I thought Honorable Sticker will be given the opportunity to explain to us the meaning of sinusoidal.
Mr. Chairman, should I go ahead? Or?
Yeah, no. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Dr. Amoah, please, what is the policy rate today? The inflation rate today? What is the average lending rate today? And I would also ask, what is the average lending rate between banks today? I know you are a man of numbers. In any case, you did actuarial science, so I know you like figures. So can you tell us what those rates are today?
Mr. Chairman, as of today, please, I haven't checked. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amoah. I know, please, when you last checked, what were these figures?
Mr. Chairman, I think just as within any physiological setup, I've forgotten. Forgive me.
Thank you, Dr. Amoah. I know you have blamed almost all the reasons for our economic problems on Russia, Ukraine. Let me find out from you. Do you eat gobe, like Gary and beans? Have you ever bought Gary and beans recently, or do you know anybody who told you how much it cost?
Mr. Chairman, yesterday I ate Gary, but without beans.
In the context of your explanation that almost all the economic difficulties we have is based on Russia, Ukraine, can you explain why beans, Gary, cassava, plantain, items that we don't import from Ukraine, can you explain why those prices are equally very expensive today?
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I think I have to first correct this. I have never said that all our challenges are as a result of the two global incidents. I've never said that. But I have said that the acute nature of what is happening today is majorly induced by these global crises. Secondly, all the things my honorable member, respectable member is saying, yes, they are locally produced. However, if you analyze the value chain, they transport some of them to town. Some of them, they use fertilizer. I'm a farmer, so I know what I'm talking about. Some of them, they engage laborers who have also, by virtue of the fact that their purchasing power has been adversely affected, they have increased what they take daily. So definitely it will affect it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Dr. Amoah, you are on record to have said, yes, there's hardship in Ghana now, but it's better than when we took over from NDC. Can you explain how hardship under NDC is different from hardship under NPP today?
Mr. Chairman, I can't remember this. I'm not saying I said or no, but I can't remember. Thank you, sir.
Bring this back to you. You said this when you were on a TV program, but if you say you don't remember saying this, I am sure when you finish, you Google it, you will see what you actually said.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You are on record to have said that the NDC and NPP have goofed economically. Will you remember that one?
No, sir. I don't think I've said that. Maybe it's taken out of context.
Earlier you said that the one district, one factory created tens of thousands of jobs. Can you tell us the source of your data?
From trade and industry, the ministry that plays a lead role in the management and supervision of the said policy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So is it from a document from the ministry or a publication on their website or an official statement issued by a responsible personality from the ministry?
The one that the ministry submitted to the parliament, that's what I read from. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The title of that the document, so that I can make reference, I can look for it and make reference myself.
Mr. Chairman, I cannot quote all, but I saw 1D, 1F on it.
I want to find out from you, can you mention only 5 items that are produced under the 1D, 1F as a result, where we are able to not import that item and making it, or we export more of that item? Can you mention only 5?
Honorable,
I know.
Honorable, he answered that question. So
his answer was that, you see, it's about import substitution. My view is that under the 1D, 1F, not a single product produced today has given us an advantage where we don't import a particular item. There's none. So I was hoping you could mention that. Yes, I was hoping that you could say that because of the, in fact, and I saw you talked about what do you call it? Tissue paper. As far as I can remember, SPPC, Super Paper Product Company Limited, I think it's got a different name now. Even when I was a kid, we used to produce tissue paper in this country. So, okay, I can see he's arranged certain things in front of him. So if you can answer the question by telling us which 5 items produced under the 1D, 1F is to the extent that those items, once produced here, we don't import similar items in this country.
Mr. Chairman, when I was growing up, my father, my late father, may his soul rest in peace, who had never been to school, told me that Nanayao, Mpuntunyuma kakra kakra. In English, development is a process, not event. What the honorable member is saying is perfectly true, but I think remarkably, look at the things here. At least we don't import virgin coconut oil. Not that I know. I could be wrong. We've done a lot of them. We still import some because we have not been able to locally produce to meet domestic demand. But we'll get there one day. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
May her soul rest in peace. Used to produce coconut oil at home all the time. In fact, palm oil and everything. So I don't remember ever consuming imported coconut oil. So I'm not sure why this one is your strong point for you to raise. In fact, I lived in London and we used to buy Nkulenu oil, Nkulenu palm nuts and everything exported to UK. So the point is, has 1D, 1F made any impact, which is remarkable? That is the point I'm trying to get from.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
The point is that
we export a confit juice outside. We export ceramic, bakeda, to Cameroon and other places. And then, so we've been doing that.
Is it the first time Ghana has exported?
Really don't know.
I can tell you that is not the first time.
Thank you, sir.
Blue Skies have been exporting fruits products before the advent of 1D, 1F.
Thank you, Sir Chairman.
My last question. Just like many other companies, including one company set up by Honorable Senor Jose, existed before 1D, 1F. I've seen a warehouse in Tema, only refurbished and called 1D, 1F, an existing warehouse. So I know what I'm talking about. Honorable Stephen Amoah.
Yes, sir.
My final question to you is this. I believe your substantive minister was, well, if he gets the approval, was vetted yesterday.
Mr. Chairman.
Pardon? I didn't hear what you said. You wanted to say something? Okay, all right, okay. Do you believe the two of you have any special qualities meriting your appointment to that ministry that Ghanaians should be assured that there will be an improved situation in terms of our trade relationships just because the two of you have been appointed? I'm not saying the previous minister and his deputies did not perform, but I'm asking what the two of you's appointment would do differently if you get the approval.
So we'll continue, and I'll serve him as a deputy minister and continue the good works that had been started by our predecessor.
Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Honorable Nominee, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
You said you will serve him as a deputy minister, if approved, and if he himself is also approved. Let me refer you to your CV to start with. Core objectives. Seek a competitive and challenging environment where I can serve in defining and collaborating with relevant stakeholders to achieve strategic outcomes. So you will seek competitive. I hope you will not be competing with your minister, if approved.
No, sir, Chairman.
I hope you will not be challenging your minister, if approved.
No, Chairman.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Stephen Amoah.
Yes, sir.
Your job, if approved, will be a deputy minister responsible for trade and industry. Ghanaian traders are currently complaining of the fact that some of them had to borrow, or the lending rate is about 47% from a bank. If approved, what will you do differently to assist government to bring the lending rate down?
Mr. Chairman, I think it is within the jurisdiction of the Bank of Ghana, probably collaborating with Finance Ministry. I think it is their responsibility to do that. And anything that my minister will want me to do to help in that capacity, if it's within our jurisdiction, Mr. Chairman, I'll do that. Thank you.
Honorable Stephen Amoah, the concern of most traders has to do with the stability of our Ghanaian currency, the cedi. You agree with me that in the last 2 months, from January to date, our currency has depreciated approximately 24% in the last 2 months. As a minister responsible for trade, or a deputy minister responsible for trade and industry, what will you do differently to assist the government in stabilizing our currency?
Mr. Chairman, can you repeat your question so I can...
I want to know what you
can
do differently to assist the government to stabilize the Ghanaian currency as a minister, as a deputy minister responsible for trade and industry.
Mr. Chairman, as a deputy minister, I'll work with my minister. If anything of what my respectable Dr. Amoah is saying comes on board and my minister assigns me to, I'll do my best to contribute to that effect. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you have any ideas that you can suggest to your minister, if called upon?
Mr. Chairman, yes.
Can you tell us the ideas you have you can bring on board?
Mr. Chairman, if I'm giving the approval, I would definitely do that if I have.
As a nominee, can you convince me with those arrangements that or ideas you have so that that can encourage me to support you or not to support you?
Mr. Speaker, Dr. Atuforsen is like a brother from different parents. The only difference between us is that he is tall, I'm short. I will see him in chambers and probably ask more from him, and I'll submit to my minister, who I know operates open culture system, and if it will be good for the country, my minister will do that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
What about similarities between you and him?
Mr. Speaker, I think there's also one similarity. We all have haircuts.
Mr. Chairman, talking about haircut, are you aware that our government has started giving ordinary pensioners haircut?
Mr. Chairman, I really don't know what my honorable member is talking about. What I know is that there is a voluntary rollout of a new policy to replace bonds with high cost with the low ones and also extend the maturity date, which, Mr. Speaker, occurred in Uruguay, Jamaica, Greece, UK, whenever there is holdout all over the world. That is the inevitable policy, not forcing them on bondholders. That is all that I know. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Stephen Amoah, can you explain to this committee what the government is seeking to do to reduce our debt to GDP from the 103% to 55%, since you contributed to the topic on the floor of Parliament last week?
Mr. Speaker, I know that one of such policies is what Doctor just mentioned, trying to reduce our interest payment by extending maturities of our bonds and also replacing them with new ones. Secondly, the government is cutting down greatly the you know, in our budget we have statutory and discretionary. The discretionary items, cost items of our budget, cutting emoluments by 30%, reducing fuel by 50%, government not actually initiating non-critical projects in our country. So you realize that the government of the day is doing everything possible within its capability to consolidate our fiscal space by cutting down costs. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Are you aware that this morning, Fitch had to downgrade Ghana from RRD to restrictive default because Ghana government failed to pay debt that they have contracted, interest amounting to $46 million. Are you aware of that?
Chairman, I'm not aware, sorry.
I am letting you be aware that government of Ghana has officially defaulted in the payment of external debt?
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Honorable, for letting me know.
I can send it to you now. Check. If you unilaterally, without the consent of...
Don't respond to me.
Mr. Chairman, Honorable Stephen Amoah.
Yes, Doctor.
If your country defaults in the payment of servicing debt, it shows your country is bankrupt or insolvent. And when the country is in that position, what do you think can the country do immediately to deal with that situation? Immediately to deal with that situation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think talking about Ghana being insolvent, that I don't know. What I know is that our interest payment has gone up. And here I've explained that between 2012 and 2016, it started going up. That is the time we started experiencing that. And then it started reducing up to 2018. Then it started going up again 2019. So you are right. But the most critical factor here is our debt to GDP, which has gone up greatly. If we can recollect, even the developed economies, their debt to GDPs are moving beyond 100. Talk of UK, US, and co. So this is a global issue. But what you need to do as a government is to harmonize the fiscal space variables or parameters. And one of them is to cut down cost, expenditure. One of them is to increase domestic revenue generation, to make sure that you rather consolidate the space by not attracting more debt. That's all that I can say. And I think this government is perfectly doing what I'm talking about. Okay. And it's a process and we'll get there. Thank you, Mr.
So
Chairman.
you mentioned that one of the things you do is to raise revenue. This budget introduced, the last budget introduced 24 different tax handles or fiscal measures. At the same time, expenditure is going up by 82 billion Ghana cedis. Can you agree with me that the government, even though they are increasing taxes or increasing revenue through the introduction of taxes, needs to cut down on expenditure, since expenditure has gone up by 82 billion Ghana cedis?
I agree with you, sir. Chairman, thank you.
So will you sacrifice your salary to reduce that expenditure, if I'm asked upon?
Chairman, I think I said something here. My knowledgeable Dr. Atoforsen and I, the only difference is the height. So the way we are brothers, if he sees me on the corridor, he says, "Our brother, let's cut," and he cuts his, I'll cut mine.
Can you consider rejecting or refusing the appointment of the president as a contribution to Ghana's current problem?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not a lawyer, but I know that Article 78 mandates the president with approval of the parliament to do as such. I don't think if I'm asked to serve this country, I'll deny the good people of Inshiaeso and this country by doing that. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, since the Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance is just about to enter, I will hold on to my questions, and when he comes, I'll be able to answer those questions. So I'll leave you there. I'll get those questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable Stephen Amoah.
Chairman.
I noticed that you have brought all the people who matter in Ashanti region, some of the very old seniors, those I was constituency chairman with, some of them are here. I've seen some of the very many seniors in the party because they have faith in you. Now tell me, how will your new position impact Asumasi constituency? In Shayesu constituency.
Chairman, thank you very much. Per the mandate of the industry, I'm sure the traders in my constituency will benefit tremendously. Should there be any opportunity to do that? Thank you, Chair.
Chairman Jokat, I wanted you to hear him. Now you have heard him. He says if any opportunity comes, you benefit. So I wanted you to. I won't say that Masslock taxes, a lot of them went to that constituency. I won't say that. Right. Honorable Amoah, we thank you for attending upon the House. We ignore Neil and Van der Poy. We thank you for attending upon the House to answer questions. I'll discharge you, but no, he won't say anything more. I will not give him the floor for anything more. I want to thank you for attending upon the House. I want to thank all those who came to support him. There are some I can see, there are some I cannot recognize by face. But all of you who came from the constituency and from the region to support Honorable Amoah. I see a very well-dressed Nana behind him, but I couldn't identify who. Nana, you're welcome. And is that the Adedokwa? Very well, okay. Cocoa Board Chair, yes, Cocoa Board member. You're also here to support him. Is there anybody I can recognize? But we thank all of you. Oh, Chairman Jokat, I've already recognized him. We thank all of you, all the executives who came to support Honorable Amoah. You're discharged now. Thank you.
Chairman, thank you very much. God bless you. And I thank my colleagues from both Panika Divide. Thank you. God bless all of you.